Welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode number 77. Yes, I do know it's been 2 months since the last review, but I've been reviewing and watching a lot of other stuff since then. Like, there has been at least 2 Sentai and a Metal Hero series. Here we're discussing the 8th ever, I think it's the 8th if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. It's actually the 7th. Yes, the 7th ever Kamen Rider series, which is known as Kamen Rider Super 1, which was released from October 1980 to October 1981, airing almost exactly 1 full year. Yep. Now, the thing with this one is, this one aired roughly 1 week after the conclusion of Sky Rider. Unlike Sky Rider, which had 54 episodes, this only had 48 episodes overall. Now, we're discussing here the first 4 episodes of Kamen Rider Super 1. Now, basically, if you're curious what the Kamen Rider suit looks like for this one, it is this. This is Kamen Rider Super 1. That's his suit. And that doesn't show up in like lower half of the episode. Now, the way the plot of this thing goes, the way the thing starts out with, is that we first hit the Kamen Rider Over theme song, which is not a bad theme song. Excuse me. It reminds me a little bit of the original Kamen Rider thing, but it's very slow. Like the visual. Yep. So we start out with basically we having the main Kamen Rider, Oki, where he is a volunteer for a surgery for cybernetic surgery. They do explain in the first episode that he actually is an orphan. His parents died at some point. How they died, they don't really say. I'm like, wait, did they just repeat something that happened in the previous Kamen Rider series? Where the whole thing of dead parents? Though this is technically the 3rd time they've ever done this. The first one was V3. They did it again with Sky Rider, and now they do it with this one. They don't really explain what happened to him just yet, so he works at this institute. By the way, the Kamen Rider, when he gets his surgery done, it's done in the U.S., which is interesting to say the least. Oh, by the way, the further thing outside is the wasteland of Arizona and the wasteland of Nevada. I'm like, why the heck would you refer to it as that for? Was the United States destroyed? Is that in the future? Don't know. And of course, they have this really annoying anti-pollution, at least this message at the start of it, where apparently by the 21st century, we're going to reach a population of 10 billion. The last I heard, we're not there yet. Nope. Not really. Last I heard was over 7 billion, not 10 billion. And it's all about weird stuff. I'm like, yeah, look at this is only here just for this episode. So, now he's also, believe it or not, the 3rd Kamen Rider to volunteer for the surgery. Because this also happened with V3 and Stronger. Actually, more like the 4th. Yep, 4th who basically volunteered to go to the surgery. Though this actually is the first one since V3 that's not done by a villain that people associated with villain organization. The organization we're talking about is something only exists just in the opening episode because their base is destroyed with the first episode. And he's a scientist working there, and of course he volunteers, despite the fact that he actually is, despite this and his life as a human, he thinks continues his father's legacy by basically doing this. Excuse me. So they undergo the surgery, and the guy in charge of his name, Professor Henry. Very tough guy with a handlebar mustache, who basically doesn't crap anybody. And they complete the surgery, no problem. They show like blueprints all over the place. What they mentioned also in the first episode about these secret Super 1 plants, what these were, never explained because it's never mentioned enough in this first episode. So then, of course, after he gets surgery done, he transforms via the computer. Though, with the very next episode, he gets his own transformation sequence, which is interesting to say the least. I'll talk about that. So, As he transforms, apparently he also can change hands. What do I mean by change hands? The silver gloves are his like base gloves. Excuse me. Yes, and he's got an assortment of gloves he uses. Mm-hmm. Which this is what they look like. We have the red glove. That's the power glove. Yes, the power glove. And I say, it's the power glove. It's so bad. Yep. So those are the power hands, which also can make it that much. The blue gloves are the electric hands, which also got like a rainbow thing on the arm. The terminal hands, which are green. The flamethrower and a sprayer. The raider hands, gold one. And when he uses this one, let me show up basically what he looks like. With that's him with power hands. The electric hands. The terminal hands. And the radar hands, which also comes with like a little missile you can basically form. He used all these in the first episode, where he discovers some suspicious people. And who are these people? The Dogma, the Kingdom of Dogma, which their symbol is this thing here. Looks like a bird. Yeah. As for the reason for this, I don't know. Now you might be curious though, is the leader of this organization a reincarnation of the great leader of Shocker? Shockingly, no. This group has nothing to do with Shocker at all. They're not like an organization inspired by them. Not really, no. Their boss, when he shows up, this is what he looks like here. It doesn't hurt the fact I show him off because basically you do see his face basically only close up. Yeah, he only seen sitting. He's never seen standing. And his name is Emperor Terra Marco. Their general is this guy right here. That's a general. General Mongrel. Mm-hmm. And of course, you also have the Dogma bodyguards, which, from what I've read, apparently these are inspired by the Crimson Guards from Star Wars. I'm not kidding about that. It seriously was. Now, the Crimson Guards themselves will show up in 1983, Return of the Jedi, but that's basically what these are inspired by. Then you have the Dogma Fighters, which, yes, that's what they look like. Which is not a bad look for them, I gotta say. At least the faces are pretty much kept hidden. Now, the thing with this show is that they're pretty much, the best way to describe it is it's very much 80s. What do you mean by 80s? There's a lot of techno beats here. When they have the characters transform, especially with the monster suit too, they have this blue light that come down, and then they become basically the Kamen Rider, or the Kamen Rider or the monster of the episode. The episode itself also debuts of Fire Kong, who shows off first as a human, who, by the way, is played by, excuse me, the actor who plays Boss Iron Claw from Jack. He also played Commander Header from Bifur J and General Carr from Dynaman. Yep. Same guy. And he's only in this episode and the following one. He's actually the first of, like, if I read, first of two of the monsters for this group. They're not destroying their debut episode because everyone else normally is. So his job is to recruit Professor Dr. Henry to the organization, but he's like, nope. And then the Emperor Terra Crow is like, kill him. And they proceed to blow up the of course, they discover the scientist is a traitor. And by the way, the doctor himself is actually killed off in the debut episode. Meanwhile, though, before all this stuff goes down, he's given to the midnight business decision. So he proceeds to call Japan and talk to the previous Kamen Rider's mentor, Tani. Yes, he's back in the first episode. And now he's the owner of a race car shop, which is interesting. Now, I've heard this guy described as a dollar store version of Tabishi Tabata. That's what I've heard this guy is basically called. The previous guy took over for him in the previous series. He was more of a basic mentor to the Ranger to him than basically this guy was. Now, he is here for the entire run of Super 1. So, he'll be here for the long haul for this thing. But from what I've read, after this series wraps up, he's never seen again in the franchise. Nope, never is. Do not know the reason for it, he just isn't. So, basically we have where he fights the dog first. I can't exactly transform just yet. He does, well, actually he transforms a couple times in the episode. First time to his computer. Second time when the base was destroyed. And he proceeds to, it was weird, very bad looking special effect. We have the motorcycle they have, which is in a tunnel. They show it a couple times. He's not seeing writing at the very next episode. So, then we have the other place is destroyed. Next episode jumps ahead 6 months later. Yes, 6 months later. Where he's training at a temple to learn basically how to do the transformation sequence. Which basically, after going through hell training, apparently involves just doing this, like henge, and doing that. And then he just sticks his arm out like this, and that's how he transforms. I'm like, okay, it's different. Normally it's henshin. Or henshin stronger. Like that. I'm like, that's actually quite different. I like the fact that the transformation sequence is different than it was in the previous series. Good on Super 1 for doing that. And then, of course, he takes on the Fire Kong first as, apparently during a period of time between episodes, he apparently has become a skilled martial artist, so he takes over a dojo in an old-fashioned dojo takeover by being up the teacher and claiming him as new owner. And apparently he wants to take over the shop. Now, here's the thing. A dojo cannot just randomly take over a shop in the middle of town. That make part of the main dojo. Last time I checked, I don't think that an owner of a dojo can do that. Not really. So, they try to look up. He already completed his training, and after he sees transform the first time, he takes on Fire Kong. A pretty good battle. First, Fire Kong is, well, typical villain. He's a coward, so he sends his students basically after him first, and beat the crap out of them. He takes him on, and then about how he's found out about this is a letter sent by Tani via Chono, and Kira, who doesn't really mention anything. Chono, this is a recurring gag in this episode and the following two, where he just somehow gets involved and he gets captured. Though he is an okay fighter, he just throws people around like he's a wrestler. Which I at least got praised the fact, despite being a coward, he basically can kind of briefly hold his own in a fight. Got hands to that one. But I would not be surprised if this guy was here if he was based upon some characters from Super Sentai. That's what the character reminds me of. So, basically, he takes on Fire Kong, and then he wins. Well, also, I forgot to mention here, there's two guys banking in this mentor old man. This old man only appears in a small handful of episodes. After episode 2, he's not sending into episode 6. His last appearance in this series is episode 23. And that's it. Yeah, there are some characters who just appear now and again. Now, I've checked for the other ones. Now, of course, the mentor obviously is here for the long haul, obviously. But you might be asking, what about, let's say, the supporting cast, you might ask? Do they disappear halfway through the show? Well, Tani himself, like I mentioned, he's here for pretty much the entirety of... he appears in all the episodes of Kamen Rider Super 1. It says in here he wasn't in episode 2, but actually he was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But as for, let's say, Chodoro, In the case of him, he is here for pretty much the long haul. He's here up until the finale. I'm not sure why they said here first appearance episode 2 would actually be first appearance episode 1. That's what I saw anyways. Harashima Kumi, she is also here for the long haul. And she doesn't miss a single episode. You're thinking, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's one thing I do like about this one. They don't have characters who just abruptly disappear after a few episodes. Yep, they're here for pretty much the long haul, which gotta praise the fact that it's like that. Yep. And they have to defeat the monster episode with the special kick. And the very next episode, it's up looking buried treasure. Now, this is something Kamen would not usually go to, having villains look for buried treasure. By the way, Emperor Terracrow, he appears like one or two scenes a whole episode. He's only on screen for like maybe a couple minutes at most. He's not there very much. He may be the leader of the organization, but all you see of him is a close-up of his face, but you don't see his attire. And apparently it looks like, though, the way his makeup, the way he looks, it seems as though where his eyebrows are, it seems like what I saw, it looks like they were kind of like part of a mask. It looks like they wasn't finished there, possibly. He also got like a scope on one of his eyes. So, by the way, this is a guy called Commander Blue Demon. He appears in just this episode. And he's a human. He's not a cyborg, he's a human. Well, I liked him. I thought he was Colonel Zal from the original Kamen Rider series. But nope. I think that's a different actor. Excuse me. I believe he is, yes, because I think he just appears in... Well, he technically did appear in 2 other series. He appears mostly as like a one-shot character. I mean, despite the fact he looks like Colonel Zal, but really he isn't. And despite the fact he's a commander, it seems like the monster episode is more the boss than he is, who is an octopus. Yes, an octopus. And they have this thing, kidnapping these kids, the swan style of martial arts, in order to get to this old man who has got this map, this gold, and they do kind of find it, except he looks at the thing like, nope, this is not gold. He's like, what? This actually is copper. Because the man that put it there was obsessed with finding gold, couldn't find any gold, so he just planted gold there. That's what he explains it. It's a okay episode, though it has that trope of basically getting captured. Next episode involves a chameleon monster. Yes, seriously, a chameleon, mantis monster. Yeah, the mantis monster is something you don't really see very much. Not really, no. I mean, prior to this one, the last known mantis monster. Not really sure. But I know at least Mantis Monster is one of those top monsters that's featured in mostly just about every single series to date. I think the last one they had was actually in the previous series, and he appeared for a few episodes. But in case you're curious, though, this one is actually he later pops up in the movie. Yep, in the movie. He gets out a couple times. But don't worry about discussing him. The whole thing about him is like, he posed as a prince to get hands on his fortune. Oh, by the way, his suit actor is not identified. He's not credited at all. Yeah, that's one thing I kind of noticed the first couple of them, is that the suit actors for these monsters are never credited. Not sure why, but they're not for some reason. Also, in the case of the guy who voices Kamen in this series, let's see. This was actually his last series he worked on. He did voice 2 of the monsters, Lonely Wolf, Red Dagger, but that's it. Yeah, he appeared more in Sky Rated in this series. Yep. Yeah. But that really was a really interesting one. He even like takes control of like whole area of Tokyo, and he basically is making demands of the guy's actual fiance. Now the thing is, the comrade can notice he's not the real thing. Heck, even his fiance knows he's off. Excuse me. He's here to marry his childhood friend, and it turns out he wasn't like killed in order to oppose him. Oh no, they decided to put the prince to work. But luckily enough, he's freed with the comrade. Freed and then he's recaptured, and they try to kill the comrade by put him under guillotine, but luckily that doesn't work. So they free the prince, and eventually they said to go off, and the guys who basically want his oil, and that's the episode. Yeah, I gotta say, for the start of this, it's pretty good so far. Yep, so yeah, that's the episode review. Next up is going to be Black Clover, and then Welcome Demon Squirm. Okay, next video. Bye.